Hi, this is Real Men Unscripted with Derek and Jerry. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
All right, welcome back to Real Men Unscripted with Derek. And Jerry's off to the side. He's recording because we have a guest. It's really hard to get three people up here, as you can tell. So Jerry's looking at me, and so he says hello. But I'm super excited because I got my brother from another mother here. We're going to do a two-part episode. And I'm with my brother, Domingo Lucero.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good out there.
So Domingo and I met probably about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2.5.
At it would be a first responders men's group, and he'll tell you it's a military group, first responders group, so mostly law enforcement, firefighters, and veterans or current military for our Hope Church. And so that's how we met. And I would say we hit it off right
away.
right away.
Even though you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah, and he's a Cowboys fan. So he doesn't know what a Super Bowl is like.
Nope.
But
Super Bowl is what I eat my cereal in.
yeah. So then he ended up coming to my men's group, and he's still coming. And then we still meet on the veterans group with a few other guys. And so I asked him to be a guest on here to tell us about his law enforcement experience. And so this is going to be another two-parter. So this will be part one will be today, and then we'll do part two. So tell all our 16 YouTube listeners. No, we might be up more. I have to ask Jerry what our numbers are.
There's going to be 20 after today.
Yeah. So
my 4 family members better tune in.
Yeah, there you go. So tell the audience about yourself.
Oh, let's see. Originally I'm from Southern California. Was born in Inglewood. Stayed there for high school. Then I joined the military, joined the Army. And I wanted to get as far away from California as possible, so I went to Fort Drum, New York. And when they greeted us over there, they showed us a map of the base, right? So you know how the front part of it is all green and mountainous and all this, and we're like, oh, all right, cool. There's a lot of mountains, greenery. And they're like, flip it over, and they're like, this is Fort Drum in the winter, and the back is all white. And I'm like, oh, I'm from Southern California.
You didn't know what snow was.
Yeah, I didn't know what snow was. I didn't know anything about snow. But, stayed there for 4 years. I loved every minute of it. Met some brothers there, brothers in Christ as well, who we still keep in contact, which I just came back from San Diego from visiting them. So, I mean, that was awesome. And then after the military got out, came straight to Nevada because they were testing for Las Vegas Metro Police. So, did that.
So how old were you when you started at the Metro Police?
It was in 97, so I was born in 71. What does that make it, 26?
Great.
Quick math.
No,
26 years old. It was a little bit on the older side. There was a lot of younger guys there, but, you serve in the military, you got a little bit head start on your physical conditioning, your maturity. So, did the academy, and then I did 25 years on the force, just retired a couple of years ago. Like my brother Jerry, retirees in arm in arm.
Yeah, but he's back to work now. When
is he really?
When
oh,
you come
my
back
goodness, Jerry.
Yeah, he's back working, and you're still retired.
Yes, I'm going to stay
You're
retired
not doing
as long
nothing.
as possible. Nope, just hanging out with my dog.
That's not true. You actually, you and Jerry are really good. If I need a ride to the airport or anybody needs anything, you stop what you're doing and you help people. So you may not be getting paid by people, although I did leave you that $50 that one time. But you are very generous with your time to help other brothers with whatever they need, a ride or moving or whatever. So although you're not working a paid job,
It's interesting though, because now that I'm retired, I'm actually more busy than I was when I wasn't retired. So, like you said, there's a lot of things that people, ask for, and I have time. So,
and you're helping,
help them out.
relatives,
friends,
stuff like
family,
that.
Yes.
So you're married.
Yes.
Have some kids.
Married for almost 30 years now. Got 3 kids. Kevin, my oldest, he's about 28. And then Heaven, my daughter, my middle child. And then I have Ethan, who's my youngest. And he's 21.
They all have, 2 of them are starting to be a first responder. Thank God they're not doing police.
Exactly.
So you talked them into, did you talk them into doing fire, or did they?
Yes, I did. I told them to go that way instead of law enforcement.
Because everybody loves a firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you get arrested for arson,
they get to lift weights on duty. They go to the supermarkets and buy food. They get to go to all the sporting events with their big fire truck. I mean, it's amazing what they get away with.
So Kevin started the academy. No, Ethan started
yes.
last Monday,
yes.
right? So now he's in his second week.
Second week now, yes.
Did he tell you I sent him a text?
No, I did.
Yeah, I sent him a text and he responded.
Awesome.
Told him congrats and good luck. And so, so he started last week with Clark County Fire.
Yes. He was explorer with them, so that's where he wanted to stay. I introduced him to a bunch of guys that I knew, stations 17 and 25. So he kind of liked that culture. So he's like, I want to do Clark County Fire. So
and then
well, actually, Kevin was supposed to start, but he didn't pass his CPAT. He waited until the last second, and so now
CPAT, like a machine.
CPAT?
Oh,
No,
CPAT.
it's like eight obstacles that you have to do, like equipment carry, ladder raise. You have to drag a dummy. So he didn't make it in time. It's like 10 minutes and 20 seconds that they give you. So he didn't make it. So he's going to try again. So, yeah, I think this is the second time he hasn't been able to pass this thing. So we'll see.
Is he just needing to pick up time-wise?
Yeah.
I mean, he can do the events. He's strong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a strong boy.
It's just trying to get the timing.
Well, it wasn't that. He took a month off from work to be ready for this, but he worked out all the way until the day before or 2 days before. So he got muscle fatigue the day of. And he's a big boy. You've seen him.
Okay, that was... I'm going to move that so it doesn't...
So he just, he didn't finish in time. So
okay.
But it's God's plan.
Yeah. Well, he'll get there.
Yeah, he will.
And then Heaven's doing like...
Yeah, she's a scribe at the hospital. Yeah. The St. Rose hospitals, whatever they're a part of or whatever.
Nice.
And she's loving it. She's studying now to take her test to get accepted into medical school. So that's what she does on her off time, studying for that thing.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. They're all great kids. I know them all, and they're very awesome. Then you got this amazing...
they all picked you up also.
I know. Yeah.
One of them even picked you up with a pocket full of money.
Yeah. Quick story on that. I sold my truck, and we thought it was fake. So Tammy and I, for some reason, drove just the truck to the Smith's parking lot. Next thing I know, this guy...
Unprepared for a cop, right?
Unprepared. I did have my gun, but because I thought it was fake. But this guy ended up buying my truck, and so...
cash.
Tammy had to run home, she didn't even bring the bills, the title or anything. So she had to run home, do that, grab a bag. We had to finish emptying the truck. And then I'm standing in the parking lot with a bag. I look like Linus, right? I got this bag full of the rest of the stuff from the truck. And then in the front of my shirt, I got $11,500 in cash. And then Tammy's standing there and she's like, how are we going to get home? I was like, that's a good question. So,
it was far from where they live.
So I called Domingo, and he made a call to his daughter, and she came and picked us up. So, yeah, that was hilarious.
Yes, it was.
Huh?
Did you break her off a little something?
Actually, I didn't. I mean, he wouldn't let me anyhow, probably.
No,
but
she wouldn't take it anyways.
So, I mean, he had a fit when I left him the 50 that one time.
Yes, I did.
So, but that was after like a lot a lot of rides to the airport at 4 and 5 in the morning.
Which I don't mind at all.
So then you got this amazing dog that's huge.
Oh yeah, Blue.
So what type of dog is he?
He is a golden doodle. He's
Golden
2
doodle.
years old. He's about 70 pounds, and he's like my son. You know, my kids are all grown, so I get to baby him.
Yeah.
They get mad because I buy him toys and I feed him like human food, you know, without seasoning, obviously. But
Yeah. Well, now that I have a dog,
yep,
we're feeding it like this.
rice, chicken.
No, it looks
kibble.
like this.
Wet
It's called
food?
Farmer's Dog.
Oh, gotcha.
The food, so
Yeah.
it's all fresh.
Yeah.
I think I'm spending more on the dog than my own
Organic.
food. Yeah. So, but whatever. So, yeah, it's crazy. So at 26, you decide to get on with Metro. You're living here now with Rocio, and you have a kid already now?
Yes.
Okay. So that'd be Kevin because
Yes.
he's the oldest. So you have Kevin, you're doing the construction, and then boom, you go through the academy. And so tell me about the Metro's Academy. And
Yeah. Well, originally I left the military, went back to LA. I wanted to be a cop over there, LA County Sheriff, LAPD. So I kind of tested for them. And while I was waiting, I came to visit Rocio here in Nevada. And then she actually left with me when I went back. So we started our life together. And then while I was over there, I had to get a job, right? Because I got her now. So I started working for Craig Auto Parts, which is the equivalent of O'Reilly
okay.
here. So did that, and I was still doing the California National Guard. And so I was waiting for the call from LA County Sheriff, LAPD, MTA, you know, and I wasn't getting a call. So she got pregnant while we were over there. And funny story, like it was the weekend warrior, you know, California National Guard, you go 2 days a month.
Yeah.
And then you have your 1 week
Of
a
summer
year.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went for my annual training, which is a week. And the first day I get there, right, we went to Fort Ord, get there. And then as soon as I get there, I start unpacking, right, they call me and they say, hey, your wife just went into labor. So I'm like, are you kidding me? I just got here. Like, and then one of the, I don't know what he was. I think it was a lieutenant colonel or a full colonel. He was headed back. So I hitched a ride with him, drove all night, right? And then I got here in the morning. My son was already born, so I missed his birth.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I saw Rocio, saw my baby boy for the first time. It was amazing. But yeah, that's a little funny story we have about how he was born and I missed it because I was playing soldier on weekends.
So Ord or Irwin?
It was Ord.
Okay, because I would come from Colorado to Fort Irwin's the one off of the 15.
Yes, right here
yeah.
off the 15.
Yeah, so we would come there in the summers for our training from Colorado
Gotcha.
when I was in the Army.
Yeah, this one we were going to Fort Ord for our training.
So then you have the baby and you've moved. So is she born and raised here?
No, she's actually from LA also.
Okay.
But she was born in like in LA, but she grew up in the Echo Park area.
So what brought you guys here? She had family here then.
Yes. Well, they had moved here when she was young.
Okay.
You know. So they were already here and we were over there. So then I wasn't getting a call. And then she came home,
To visit or something.
Yeah, to visit.
Okay.
And then she told me Metro was testing, Las Vegas Metro. So I'm like, you know what, I'll give them a shot. So she went back home, packed up everything, U-Haul, everything. And then drove to Nevada, tested. And back then it's like a whole year that you had to do something. Like every month you did something. You did the physical fitness test 1 month. Then you did the oral board another month. And you did the, whatever it is, psych evaluation. So every month you did something. So it's a year-long process. So, I got a job working construction, concrete construction. Oh, I loved it. It was a great job. We played softball on weekends. Kind of hung out with the guys.
You ain't playing
after.
softball no more.
Nope, not no more.
Neither am I.
Yeah, we both play together, and now injuries are piling up.
I retired from that, I think. I don't know. I might still play eventually again. But.
Well, actually, a friend of ours, Tony, just asked me to go play with them this Sunday, or not Sunday, this when did I help move? When did you guys go for dinner or the movie? The movie.
Saturday.
Saturday. So it was Saturday that he asked me to go play because that's when I helped another brother move. And I was like, I'll go watch you guys, but I ain't gonna go play. So then I get home and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go watch Mike, Gunner, and Tony play. And my wife was like, you're doing no such thing, because she knew that if they needed people, I was probably gonna
play.
help. Yeah.
And you got a torn.
Yeah, torn bicep and torn rotator cuff.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's, I didn't end up going, and they did end up needing people. So, but yeah, so came here, tested for Metro. They called me right away, said, hey, we got a spot for you. Joined the academy, and while I'm in the Metro Academy, I'm like at my locker, and then I get a phone call, and it's LA County Sheriff saying, hey, we got a spot for you. And this is like a year and a half later. I'm like, get out of here.
That long?
Yeah, I don't need you no more.
Wow.
So, yeah, so then I did 25 years. What we call is I pushed the black and white, patrol. So I was a beat cop for all 25. I did FTO a couple of times, and then when I got hurt, I helped out the detectives for about a year.
So you never really wanted to like be a sergeant or move up the ranks that way?
I was a corporal in the Army, and I didn't want that responsibility, because when we were in the military, like, those are your guys. So if something happens to them, like it happens on your watch is what we call it.
Right.
And I seen, some of our friends didn't make it back. So the sergeant and above has to go contact the parents and say, hey, your son didn't make it back. And to me, I always felt that it was your responsibility, like the guilt. Like, you know what? I wasn't able to bring your son back. So I didn't want that on my conscience being a police officer. My wife, she gets mad at me all the time because I never tested. She's like furious that I never tested. But that's one thing I didn't want. I didn't want nothing to do with supervising. I wanted to be a leader, not a supervisor, not a manager.
And we'll talk about in part 2 of some folks that have passed and stuff. And,
Yes.
But during those 25 years, you did do FTO, and so you're, giving your experience, showing other people how to do the job. Did
Yes.
you enjoy that part of it, training new officers? And did you ever have officers that you wanted canned because they weren't good enough, but the freaking department still kept them on?
Yes, I actually did FTO 2 separate times. I did it first time early in my career, after about 4 or 5 years. We had an awesome sergeant that we worked for on graveyard. She kind of moved like 4 or 5 of us up to swing shift, and we became her FTOs. So I learned from some veteran guys, awesome dudes. One guy's still on the department, if I'm not mistaken. Way more time than me on, and he's still on. But, I enjoyed it. I love it because I'm a coach. Like I said, I coach baseball, basketball, football, so I like teaching. So it came natural to me. And I enjoyed it. And there were some head cases that you're just like, are you kidding me? And all you can do is write on there. It's like, hey, like, I don't think this guy should get moved on, or girl.
And why don't these departments, because this happened at UNLV, this has happened back home, where, they feel like this person should not pass, and they document it, and then they're like, nah, we're still going to keep them.
Well, it wasn't like that early. Like when I first started, when my first part of it it was way different. If you didn't have what it takes, the sergeants we had at that time, the lieutenant and captain, they got rid of you. Because we had some awesome FTOs. So our squad, if you couldn't make it anywhere else, they kind of sent you to our squad, because we had some guys that can teach you. And if you didn't make it there, it was like, if you can't make it with these guys, like, there's something wrong. So, so they got, and I wasn't part of that group. Like, they didn't assign them to me because I was a rookie at the time, 4 or 5 years, which now they only have to have 2 years, 3 years on it to be FTOs. Like,
so you never worked the strip and was never on cops during those days where cops, you worked for the department then though, right?
Yes. Yes.
Were you ever on cops? Do I need to go back and find an episode?
No. I was
No.
on the strip many times because we had to saturate the strip. So they would take volunteers from the stations, and then you work the strip for a night or whatever. But I hated it.
You were never on the cop show?
And when cops came to me probably 7 times because they were always in Northeast, and you have to sign a waiver thing. And I'm like, nope, I'm not signing nothing. So I was never actually part of cops. Like I didn't want my face plastered all over the place. But then later on, I was actually in whatever the jail one is. Yeah, there's one that was in jail, and there's a couple episodes where I'm on that.
Because you're bringing someone in?
Yes, at the jail.
Oh, okay.
So, and you know, I get a lot of people from New York, my friends from New York. Hey, I saw your episode on, I forgot, I think it was Jail. I think it was called Jail. I saw your episode on Jail, whatever. And then friends in California, hey, you were on TV again. And, you know, they love watching the replay. I got my little, you know, porno stash. It wasn't as thick as this one. It's kind of thin.
So during your 25 years, did you ever arrest anyone that was famous?
Not me, not necessarily my arrest, but I was part of a few arrests with the celebrities. Like a friend of ours, arrested Paris.
Oh.
She had a little bit of cocaine in her purse on the strip. And I mean, the whole department went ballistic. Like, how could you arrest? But, you know, this friend of mine.
Did she actually get a ticket or?
No, she went to jail.
So it would be, I don't want to like throw Hilton out. It would be like a record of it. So we're not.
Oh,
saying
yeah,
that,
there's a record of it.
you know, so she doesn't sue.
Yeah, no.
Or
Oh, shoot, that's right.
she doesn't come back and sue us, but she was really arrested, and it's probably.
I don't know if she was booked.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Here we go.
I don't know if she was booked, but the friend of ours came in contact with her, and the way he relayed it to us was she had cocaine on her. But what I was getting to, the point was this guy treated everybody the same. You could be a celebrity, you could be a homeless person, you could be a middle class person, and this guy treated everybody the same. You know, and that's
how you should
that's
do
the
it.
policing that it should be, because I have another friend that came in contact with Zeke Elliott down at the racetrack. I think it was, what's that
The
big
football
concert?
player, your
Yeah.
cowboy
Yes,
guy.
cowboy guy.
Now he's a Patriot.
What's that big show they have at the racetrack? Dancing and all that in the summer.
Electric Daisy.
Yeah,
no,
Electric
CDC,
Daisy. EDC, yeah.
EDC.
EDC.
Okay.
So, you know, and they had a big, because he didn't know. He's like a soccer fanatic. He has no idea about football. So he come in contact with Zeke. No crime. It's over. But they had a big uprising over that. Like, you got to call us when there's somebody like that, you know. And, I mean, I get it. Celebrity, you know, get ahead of whatever's going to happen. But he actually didn't do anything wrong. I think it was just somebody got pushed into a guardrail or something. He was in the area, contacted him, nothing happened. And that's the kind of thing that I like. Like, treat everybody the same. Celebrity, homeless, doesn't matter. You know, you shouldn't treat celebrities any different than you do a homeless person.
Now, during these 25 years, were you a Jesus follower or not during your police career?
Well, I've always been a believer in Jesus. We were up at the mountain, and one of the pastors got up there and said he was a recovering Catholic.
Yeah.
So
And that stuck with you,
Yeah,
right? You thought that was
I love
hilarious.
That, yeah.
Because you're a recovering
Yes,
Catholic.
I'm a
No, we're
recovering
not making
Catholic.
fun of.
I'm not
recovering
making fun of
Catholics, but-
Catholicism, but I'm just saying I'm a recovering Catholic. I came from being raised in the Catholic Church, came to Vegas, right, and it just wasn't doing it for me as far as you know, trying to get on the right path with the Lord. So I found, you know, I went to a couple Mormon church. It wasn't for me either. A lot of friends of mine were Mormons at the time. They're still my friends, and they're still Mormon. But yeah,
They're great people.
yeah, it just didn't.
Great people.
It just didn't jive with me.
Right.
So then I kept looking around, and then my sister-in-law was actually going to a church called Central.
It's the biggest church in Vegas
In
right
Vegas. And this is before it was the biggest church.
Oh, okay.
It was before the location where they're at now. This is
Oh,
before
wow.
that. So, you know, we went with them. Well, not with them, but we went to Central because of them.
Okay.
And I loved it. I loved the whole atmosphere. I loved everything about it. Like, you know, come as you are. You know, you don't have to, like, hide anything or be just ashamed or whatever. So I started going to church, but I really didn't dive into it, you know, and then after whatever it was, 4 or 5 years, you know, my son, Kevin, started going to Hope Church. So he invited me to go to Hope Church.
So was that before or after Patrick left? Because Patrick was at Central.
Yes, I met Patrick at Central.
And you knew him at
Yes,
Central.
at Central.
But had he left? He left before
It was
you
around
went
the
over,
yeah,
right?
it was around
all-
the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I met him, Pastor Patrick, pastor from Hope. He was at Central, and he did a ride along with me because he was our
He was chaplain.
chaplain for our department at our station. So he did a ride along with him. Felt comfortable.
How's that having a chaplain ride along with you?
Oh, I love it because I have another chaplain that used to ride with me all the time before Patrick, and he became a really good friend of ours. And his church was in our area, right off of like Nellis and what is that street? Harmon, Nellis and Harmon. Great church there. Awesome guy. He's one of those guys that gets on those airplanes with no numbers and has to go into that little area that doesn't exist, Area 51 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he never,
like other than him, did you guys like back home? We did a lot of ride-alongs, right? Because we were the sheriff's office. We were by ourselves. Most of the deputies didn't want ride-alongs, so the sergeants, before I became a sergeant, always had me take the ride-along people. But did Metro really have like a ride-along program?
yes, they have a huge ride along program.
Okay, because I see they ride double a lot now.
No.
But
When I left, it was still single.
okay,
But we do have a lot of ride-alongs for like prospective applicants, people in like church
Okay.
or NAACP or any of that wants to see what we do, not just hear about what we do. And I've taken a lot of people on ride-alongs because like when they're in the briefing room, they're already intimidated, number one, right? And then you have all these guys with 20 years on. And then they see the person in the back, and automatically they assume it's a ride-along. So they come in. I was like, "I'm not taking him. I'm not taking her. You better find somebody else."
yeah, cops don't like people
they don't like
riding
people
in
in the
their
car with them.
their
messing
passenger
up
side.
the routine. Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if it's that or they want to be able to do their own thing.
well, that's what I'm
without-
saying. Messing up the routine because
Well, is it a routine?
there's phone calls to make.
Yeah.
You got to do your bills on the phone or whatever it is you do during your downtime. So
Meet
it's like,
a badge bunny or something.
yeah, and then you got to talk to your kids and your wife. You don't want this
Yeah.
person you're only going to see for one
Right.
day hearing that.
It's funny though. I had a guy. Speaking of ride-alongs, I had a guy named Roger. He was a canine from Australia, and he actually wanted to ride with a canine at our department, but no canines were working. My brother was off. He was a canine at the time, so he rode with me, and we hit it off. That like an hour into our shift, I drove to my house because I had to go to the bathroom or something. He met my wife, and to this day, literally, we are great friends. He was just here
That's
for
awesome.
a motorcycle gang thing. He's like in this,
Conference or something?
it's like he comes here for a canine conference, but then he's in a motorcycle. I don't want to call it a gang.
The
you know.
group, yeah.
Yeah, the motorcycle group that's a good group, right? For law enforcement.
Yeah.
It's something to do with that. And all right, so this weekend we had the Super Bowl here.
Moving right along.
Big
Super Bowl.
event, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about some events in part 2 that you worked at. But
Yeah.
this weekend, I was there. I had, I worked it for church. About 55 of us worked it, and
Yeah, but how many were supposed to be there?
about 100. I think about 100 originally signed up.
Once they found out the start time.
Yeah, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. My wife said I'm out, so she didn't do it, but I did. But they said we were going to get a bomber jacket. The jacket they gave us on the back says, event services. So who's going to wear that jacket?
Not me.
So now I got to try to put a patch over it.
Just wait for the next Super Bowl and get in.
But the sheriff was there. He had his posse, his 2-3 people with him walking. Big event, 62,000 people. I ran into my neighbor, ran into a buddy from California, which I would have never thought I'd run into.
Yeah,
them with
but according to your
62,000.
wife, you run into somebody everywhere you go.
I do.
Everywhere.
I do. I literally, one time I was 15 and my dad, my stepmom, my stepbrother and I, we were at Grand Ole Opry, and we were at some thing over there. And on one of those, the things that take you like from one part of the park to the other.
Yeah.
The little box thing you sit in.
Yeah.
We're going, and I see all of a sudden I saw a guy that was in my high school at the time. I'm like, hey, as we're passing each other. So yeah, my wife knows. I do.
So he was in the other car. Going
Yeah.
way.
We do run into a lot. I do run into a lot of people. So anyhow, it was a fun event.
Got that
safe
magnetism.
event. It was great. And Jerry, you said our time's like up or no? No? Okay.
I'll let you know when it's story time.
Okay. So he'll let us know story time. So I'm at this game having fun. I did get kicked out of the suite area because I was recording, but not anybody.
Celebrities.
I wasn't at the time. I really wasn't. I mean, I did prior to that. You know, big John Williams, right?
Yeah.
So he was there taking a picture of Brittany Mahomes and this lady who eventually kicked me out saw us doing that, said, hey, you're not supposed to do that. But then later I was recording, an actual football player on the field.
The Walter Payton Award.
Yeah, and she freaking yelled at me and said I got to stop. So I never went back to the suites. But, it was fun. My feet were killing me by the time I got off work. But
did they feed you? That's the most important part.
They did. It was like a little bit of lasagna, but that was it. I mean, literally one little meal for it ended up being 15 and a half hours.
5 to 10 and only one
I ended
meal.
up having to buy my own soda. I had to have a soda at one point. I've been off of soda for a long time, but I did have a soda. And, that thing was like $9 for $1.50 soda.
Wow.
Because the stadium was jacking up the prices on everything.
Yeah.
Story time. So we end every podcast, right? We try to with a story. You can come up with a ghost story if you want, like Jerry. Or, obviously being a cop for 30 years, I usually do a cop story. So do you have a good cop story that you want to tell people about?
Yeah, I got actually a few stories.
Well,
I'm gonna stay
we'll end
on
one with this one and one with part 2.
Sounds good. I'm gonna stay with the funny side. Stay away from the gory and all that other stuff. But graduated the academy. We got assigned to graveyard, as I said before. My partner was a guy that was in the academy with me. He's from Northern California, and we hit it off. So he actually coached my son flag football with me. So we were close. So anyways, we're partners, and we get a call from whatever the adult CPS is. You have the child protective service, and then you have the people that protect the adults, the elderly adults. So anyways, they give us a call. So we come to the apartment, and it's off of like Charleston and Marion area. All right, so northeast. And it's multi apartment complex. So we get there, the lady's standing right in front of the apartment, right? She lets us know what's going on. She's an attractive lady, so and that comes into play later on. But but when I get there, I start smelling around the edges of the windows. Right, it's got 2 windows, and it's got.
And for non-cop people, we're doing that for a reason to see if we smell death.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the call that came in?
Well, what?
What was the call that came? It was probably a
just check the welfare.
Check the welfare
because they haven't spoken to the elderly client, and I think it was a couple of weeks.
So you're smelling to see if
so I'm smelling around the windows.
if you
Don't
smell death.
anything. Yep, smell around the door frame. Nothing. So I go back to the windows, and I don't see any flies on either window.
Flies will appear when they're dead for a little while.
So it's like, okay, I'm 0 for 2. Like, what's going on? And then, so me and my partner get together, and like I said, we're rookie cops. It's like, we don't know how far we can take this. Break a window.
So Dumb and Dumber is leading the way here.
Yeah. It's like, we're kind of gung-ho cops. He's Air Force, I'm Army. So it was like, we get to break this door down? Well, let me in on this. So, but we didn't know if we could take it that far. We're like, oh man, like, do we break the door in? Do we call fire to let us in? Like, we don't know. We're going through it. So then I think about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I asked the lady, I'm like, have you checked the door? And then she's like, no. So then I go to the door, and it's got like a screen first. So I open the screen, and I'm like, bing, yes, got that door. I'm like, if we have to kick any door, it's only going to be one. So then try the second door. It opens. I'm like, yes, we're in.
So now you're going to have some listeners thinking that you are illegally going into this house.
Well, we're not, because we're there on a call. by this lady, right? The one that takes care of the elderly adults. So we already have standing at that apartment, right? We're there to check the welfare, so we can break windows, break doors to get in and check the person, because you can't see him through the windows or doors.
But what about if he was just on vacation and you broke down his door?
Then that's why you have a key, which I think they have keys to these apartments now.
But she didn't have a key.
No key.
Okay.
She didn't have anything.
So the door's
And
open.
Remind you, I'm graveyard. This lady's graveyard. So it's like, this isn't like in normal 8 to 5. You know, you can't just call someone to get a key or whatever.
Oh, okay. So it's in the middle of the night.
It's in the middle of the night. So anyways, the doors are open. So we're allowed to go in, checking the welfare. You know, it's got a living room, kitchen.
You announce yourself so that they know.
Exactly.
that you're
We
there.
announce a couple times. Metro Police, you know, if you're in here, sound off to the sound of my voice, walk to my sound of my voice, you know, go through that spiel, because we don't want anybody shooting us, and then we don't have to shoot someone back if they start shooting at us. So we make entry, clear the living room, clear the kitchen, clear the bedroom, clear the bathroom, you know, and finally the last bedroom, right? We get in there, we got our flashlights. So there's a bed like in the middle of this bedroom, like towards the wall. And we see this elderly male on top of the bed, and he's faced away from us, and he's completely naked.
So he's on his side.
Yes, he's on his side, completely naked. And I'm like, and he's, you know, he's like malnourished, so it looks like to us. You know, his skin is like taut on his bones, and we're like, oh man, this guy's dead. Like, he's dead. So we walk around the front. My partner's first, you know, because when we come in, he went left, I went right. So he was naturally in front, and I wasn't behind him. So we come up next to him, we see his face, you know, and he's got his eyes open and his mouth open. You know, he's just kind of laying there with his mouth and eyes open. So then, you know, I don't know why we didn't check his pulse on the neck or on his arm. But my partner starts like leaning in towards him, and me being engaged, I was like leaning in towards with him, like, what are we doing here? So then he leans in towards him. We're trying to see if he's still breathing, if we can hear it, you know, or feel it or whatever. And then as we're getting in close, I mean, and we're about 10 inches away. So he gets in close, and then all of a sudden, the gentleman just like yells, "Oh!" So like, I get so scared. So I push my partner towards him, and then I just run out of that bedroom. Well, as I'm running out, the lady's walking in. So now in my head, I'm thinking, man, this is embarrassing. So I kind of stop, and I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? Everything's good. He's alive. And then as soon as she passes me, I keep running right out that door.
So you left your partner in there.
I left my partner in there, but he didn't fall on him. The elderly male was okay. He kind of like, you know, reached over with his other arm, braced himself, you know, and then he stayed there, obviously, because the lady had to come in and check on him. So he was fine. And then I ran out of there, I ran out of there. And yeah, it was kind of like, whoa, like he scared the living daylights.
So cops are supposed to run towards it, and you ran the other.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
think about it. He's naked. He's not a threat. Yeah, elderly male, not a threat.
So why'd you run?
Because you can't do nothing to ghosts. Right, Jerry? You can't do nothing to ghosts. What are you going to do?
You thought he was a ghost.
I don't know what he was. All I know is that in my brain, I was 100% sure he was dead.
So
Right?
did you learn
now
anything that day?
He survived. He lived and he spoke. Right? So now in your brain, you're thinking, oh, this guy's dead. This guy's dead. We're going to have to call coroner. We're going to have to do dead body report. And then you to hear him yell like that, like, I'm pretty sure you would have done the same thing.
I don't know. All right. Well, folks, you heard it here. Domingo, on his first possibly dead body, ran from the non-dead body.
Live to fight another day.
So again, he's our special guest for part 1 and part 2 coming up. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with your friends, family.
Let your family know. Let your friends know.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Real Men Unscripted with Derek and Jerry.